the very personal relationship that we have with the Holy Spirit of God. The Apostle Paul speaks about it in Ephesians chapter 4, verse 30, when he talks about not grieving the Holy Spirit of God. And as I told you yesterday on the broadcast, as I sought to go into chapter 5 in my teaching and understanding of the principles given to us, I realized that chapter 4, verse 30, set up chapter number 5 for us. Grieve not the Holy Spirit of God. And then I talked about the whole born-again experience and how that it's the Holy Spirit that comes to you and speaks to you in your heart about spiritual things, and you receive this. And I like the way that the apostle describes it, Ephesians chapter 4, verse 24, when he says, put on the new man. And then in verse 23, he says, be renewed in the spirit of your mind. I think that gives us a good description of what this experience is, this born-again experience where a spiritual relationship or a spiritual wooing of the Holy Spirit of God comes to a person, and a person receives the promptings of the Holy Spirit. And then from that time on, a very personal, intimate relationship between the human heart and the Holy Spirit of God that brings our thought processes, the things of our heart, to the presence of God. And as God speaks to you in return, the Holy Spirit delivers that back to you. And so you see why the Holy Spirit is so personal. And so when the apostle says, do not grieve the Holy Spirit of God, that's simply saying, do not push the Holy Spirit away as he's coming to you and he's speaking to you on behalf of God. So now, as we begin to read chapter 5 of the book of Ephesians, then we begin to get an understanding of what he's saying to us concerning our relationship with God and how we behave ourselves. Because our behavior is led by the Holy Spirit if indeed we have surrendered our heart to the Holy Spirit, to God, and we're saying, Father, from now on, I don't want to follow my carnal self. I want to follow my spiritual self. I want the Holy Spirit to be my guide, to speak to me and to show me what is right in the eyes of God, what is wrong in the eyes of God, and that I will become a person that is so familiar with the voice of God that when the Holy Spirit speaks to me, I'll know that voice and I will respond to it because I have become very, very familiar and the relationship is very, very strong. So when it says, be ye therefore followers of God, dear children, and walk in love, as Christ also hath loved us and has given himself for us as an offering and a sacrifice to God for a sweet-smelling savor. So what a beautiful description. He says, look, just follow God. Allow the Holy Spirit to speak to you. Allow the Holy Spirit to convict you when you are straying in those areas that would not be pleasing unto the Lord. And the Holy Spirit prompts those things into our heart, and then we just respond to the prompting of the Holy Spirit. But to ignore him would be grieving him. This is Pastor Jack King with a gospel on the radio broadcast.